Thank you. Alrighty, so I will call the meeting to order. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for taking time out of your Monday to join us for this meeting. Again, reminder, you just have to keep your cameras on for the public meeting so that we can verify the quorum, and that as of July 1st, 2024, a change in the Virginia Public Meeting Laws now considers that for the purposes of determining a quorum, a member for a member to be absent from any portion of the meeting during which the visual communication with the member is voluntarily disconnected or otherwise fails. So basically, you have to have your camera on for your participation to count towards the quorum. The first order of business, we would like to adopt the agenda. So you should have received a copy of the agenda in your email from Elise Strobel. So I'll ask from the members of the committee for a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
And a second. Already, all in favor?
Aye.
Yeah.
Aye. Alrighty, so the motion, the adoption of the agenda has been adopted. The next order of business is to approve the minutes from the October 2021 meeting. So we met on October 12th, 2021, the last time we met. And there was a link to those meetings. Hopefully you've all had a chance to review those minutes. And so I will ask if if there are any proposed changes to the minutes, and if so, we would need a motion to amend. So any proposed changes to those minutes? Okay,
None.
very good. If there are no amendments, I will ask for a motion to approve the minutes from the October 2021 meeting.
So made.
Seconds.
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Alrighty, so the meeting minutes from October 2021 have been approved. Alrighty, chair's reports. I have no chair's report for this meeting. So the two things we have to discuss at this meeting is the method development summary for the GCFID semi-quantitative screen for additional THC isomers. And so I guess let's go ahead and get started with that. Hopefully you both had a chance to review those. Were there any comments, questions? Perhaps, I guess it might be helpful for maybe Robin to just do a quick summary.
I can do that summary for you if you want to, Robin.
Sure, go ahead, Bridget.
Okay. So this was a validation for the Delta 7 THC and Cis Delta 9 THC to be added to our existing semi-quant method. So as you have all seen in the past, our validations from this method, it is a full validation, just like previously done, expanding the number of THC isomers that we can evaluate with that semi-quantitative method. The method originally started with the Delta 9 trans THC. We also have, just for a summary, the Delta 8 THC, Delta 10 THC, which is all the 9R and 9S Delta 10 THC. And then we also have Delta 6A, 10A, already previously validated within that method. And we are using a 1% threshold for our determination. And within this validation, like I mentioned, we have Delta 7 THC and Cis Delta 9 THC. We included all previously validated matrices as well. One particular thing of note within this method is that as you were reading, you probably noted that androstenedione and testosterone were utilized as internal standards. Androstenedione, within the time frame of the validation, androstenedione was removed as an internal standard for utilization within the procedures manual, and therefore from that point forward, the remainder of the validation experiments also did not include androstenedione. So are there any questions?
All right, Mark or Chris, any questions?
Not for me, no.
No, none for me either. I reviewed it and I looked, it's thorough and covers everything. Explains all the data, and I have no further questions. Alrighty, so I guess let's go ahead with the let's go ahead with the discussion of the qualitative analysis of fentanyl using GC-FID-MS.
Okay, so this method or the document that you reviewed was a validation plan, as opposed to the previous one being the validation summary. And it is, like you mentioned, Rich, for the quantitative analysis of fentanyl using GC-FID. And one thing that is particularly of interest with this is that this will be our first method using hydrogen as the carrier gas. So this method was actually provided by the DEA. They have provided the validation and the final report for method number 127, which includes both heroin and fentanyl for quantitative analysis using GC-FID and hydrogen as a carrier gas. During the initial evaluation of that method within our laboratory, we did see some differences in the analytical results. And therefore, we had decided to make a change to have, instead of a verification, to perform a full validation. So this is a validation plan as opposed to our previously intended verification plan. The main change between the two methods was what we were seeing was a change in the instrumental response of the internal standard based on the amount of methanol that was present. And so this change in the instrumental response across the calibration range was actually causing a bias that was greater than plus our acceptance criteria for calibrators of plus or minus 5%. We did an investigation. We did find out that it is the methanol that is utilized in the extraction, which is a 9-to-1 chloroform methanol. The removal of that methanol does correct that bias. And because of that change, then we proposed an entire full validation. Are there any questions?
Yep. Could you just explain that last part to me one more time?
So when we were first looking at a verification of the method, the extraction of the fentanyl powders uses 9-to-1 chloroform methanol. And the way that the calibration curve has to be prepared, you're not utilizing a CRM, you're weighing out powders and creating various different mixtures. And therefore you have different concentrations of that 9-to-1 or amounts of methanol. And so when methanol was present, in higher volumes, we were seeing a bias with our internal standard response. We would see a decrease of the internal standard response over time or over concentration or amount of methanol. And that was causing then a bias in our quantitative result.
Okay.
I think it has to do with the solubility of the internal standard itself, which is tricosane. And since it's not structurally similar to fentanyl necessarily, we weren't seeing that equal change in response for both analyte and internal standard.
Do you anticipate that being a problem when this is a validation plan, so I guess you'll see. But okay.
I didn't see an issue with you trying it out for the validation. I mean, it's something that probably should be followed through as you're planning to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it seems reasonable to me. I mean, right, did the preliminary testing, and now you're going to go ahead and validate that it does in fact work that way. So
And with that validation, we'll do both a non-base extracted and base extracted evaluation as well to compare the two based on what other diluents might be present in the powdered samples themselves.
Mhm. Right.
Linda, did you have a question?
I just had a comment that was based on the agenda because when I was just looking at it, I noticed that we approved this and it is for the qualitative analysis of fentanyl when this is a quantitative method.
I saw the
So-
same thing. I just wrote it down on my
Oh.
thing. Yes,
Yes.
I saw the same thing. We'll have to, I was going to ask that question. Do we have to revise our agenda to properly document what we looked at?
Mason, what do you think?
I don't see how that would hurt. You can make that motion right now and have it second and vote on it.
Okay.
I don't know if it's necessary, but
I move to change the title of this discussion to quantitative analysis of fentanyl using GCFID MS instead of qualitative.
Yep, I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Very controversial.
Very controversial.
You
Things
never
don't
know,
happen.
right?
That's it. Alrighty. So now that's out of the way. Any other questions, concerns about this quantitative method?
Is there a particular, you're doing recovery, is there a particular recovery that you have to achieve to say that the method is fit for purpose?
I don't believe in the validation plan, we put a particular recovery that has to be achieved just to show that it is recovering and to an accurate quantitative result, which would have to be within 5%. So it kind of
Okay.
in theory, it would have to be within 5% if you're recovering from the powder.
Okay.
Alrighty. So hearing no further comments or questions, I move, or do we have a motion to close the review of these two methods?
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Alrighty, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Alrighty, and then I can see there is no public on the meeting, so I guess we will have no public comments. And then this concludes our agenda. So I would guess I would ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make that motion too, to adjourn.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.